Huh.
And I could just send, well,
All right. Hi, everybody.
hey guys, it's Debbie Steinberg-Kuntz and Seth Perler, and we're just going to have a little chat because we're hearing the same things, that the wheels are coming off the bus with grades. It is spring. There's lots of spring fever around, and Seth Perler, as you may know, is an amazing executive function coach. He was in our Bright and Quirky Child Online Summit, and he's got a course that talks about this exact thing. So I thought, who better to ask than Seth Perler? So Seth, hi there.
Hi, everybody.
So what do you do when people come to you? You know, I'm hearing from teens, like, I can't get my head in the game. The wheels are falling off the bus. The grades are in the toilet. Where do you begin? And what do you tell them specifically?
Okay, so I guess the first thing that I think of, well, first of all, what is spring fever, right? So, and just a real basic, what happens is that basically for the students that I work with and a lot of the students that you work with, the students that struggle with school stuff where it doesn't come really naturally to them, what happens is they start the semester off generally pretty strong, but this, in terms of the second semester, they've just come off winter break, they're back, maybe they're reorganized, maybe they're restarting their planner, maybe they've had some lectures from their parents about this semester is going to be different. And the kid's like, yeah, this semester is going to be different. And so what happens is they start off spring semester relatively well, and then about 6 to 8 weeks in, things start to fall apart, or parents find out that things have fallen apart. And grades have taken a nosedive. There's a bunch of missings, incompletes, late work, and things like that. And then the student spends the rest of the semester trying to swim upstream, trying to deal with the makeup work, the incompletes, the late work, the test corrections, and what have you. Also dealing with current work. So there's two things: late work, current work. Also dealing with what I call PEPPER, which is end of semester work, which are long-term projects that these are the kids that on a Sunday, the night before something's due on a Monday, say, Mom, Dad, I got this giant project due tomorrow. And the parent says, when did you know about this? And the kid says, I've known about it for a month. Or the kid doesn't usually say that in a forthcoming way, but that's the story.
Seth, I think you have a secret microphone in our house.
So no, I've just heard it a million times. So you have this end of the semester stuff, and PEPPER is four things: papers, exams, projects, and large reading assignments like a novel, which is often accompanied by a project or sometimes an exam, but usually a project or a paper. So at the end of the semester, the last week of school, they have final exams, final projects, final papers, and large reading assignments that are culminating at that time.
It's the perfect storm.
It is, because so to repeat that, you got your current work, your makeup work, your PEPPER stuff, and you also have spring fever. So after spring break, the kids are back in school. The weather's nice. They want to be outside. Motivation is even worse. And the reason this is so important for you and I to talk about to people is because parents and teachers are not really conceptualizing that perfect storm, those four things, and how they combine to make a child feel who struggles with executive function, how they combine to create so much overwhelm that the resistance is just boom, everything they can think of to resist. Mom, leave me alone. I've got it. Get off my back. Why don't you trust me? I'll talk to the teacher tomorrow. The teacher just hasn't updated the website yet. The teacher hasn't entered my grades. And I swear I turned it in. I know I turned it in. I remember turning it in. Yes, I put my name on it. All that stuff is happening, and they're so resistant. I'll do it in an hour. I'll do it in 5 minutes. I'll do it tomorrow. I already did it. Lying. A lot of students are literally lying. So I hear that story a lot. So basically we're at this point, and that I just wanted to set the stage. So that's what's going on here with the spring fever. It's not just spring fever, it's all of these things combined.
Right. So now we're deep in the pressure cooker. They come to you. I've heard you talk about the dip, this whole idea that you start off well and then things dip, and then they come to you for the Hail Mary. What are we going to do to wrap things up? And I know this is like your entire course. which I was just telling you in our little pre-chat that we're going to be watching at the dinner table as a family, like 15 minutes a night. I'm so excited. But just in a nutshell, I know you're so good at talking to kids directly about, here's the deal. What do you say?
Well, let's as I talk right now, so I know whoever's watching this is pretty much parents. There's going to be some teachers watching this. But in a moment, you'll hear me shift and I'll sort of talk to the students. So you can click play on after you're done watching this. If you want to show it to your students, I'll actually speak to the students. So what happens is that I get parents who are hiring me to work with the students. Technically, I'm of service to the student first. That's the way that I look at it. Parents second, but the parents obviously are the ones that hire me. Now, students, hey, what's up? My name's Seth. And if you are going through this dip, you're in spring fever, you have a bunch of makeup work, bunch of late work, you got a bunch of big stuff coming up, exams and projects and stuff coming up. And so students, I'm talking to you right now. I got two types of students out there. I have all students that I work with are resistant. So all students I work with don't feel like it. They've got excuses, get off my back, leave me alone, mom and dad, I've got this, blah, blah, blah. All my students are resistant. They procrastinate, they put off doing their work, and they're swimming upstream, trying to finish the school year, trying to pass everything, okay? All my students are resistant. So if you listening to me right now are resistant, that's fine. Now, of my resistant students, you students listening to me right now, of my resistant students, there are two types. I have the resistant students that really want it and really are willing to be honest with their parents. Even if they've lied, they're willing to be honest about that. They're willing to work hard. Even if it's a struggle, they're willing to do the struggle. They really want to finish the semester well. And then I've got the student that really doesn't and really isn't ready and really isn't willing to overcome stuff. So I can't help that student who's really stuck, who's really resistant, who's not willing to try. But if you are a student who wants to end the school year on a better note, then you can do that. Now, what Debbie and I are talking about here is what can you do? What specific things? So I work with students day in and day out who struggle with these things. I was the student who struggled with these things. How do I get the resistant kid who does want to end on a better note? How do I get them to end the school year on a better note? So I'm going to tell you specifically how I would do that. And it's some variation of this. The first thing to do if you want to end on a better note is get crystal clear on what the heck is going on. Because the students that I work with are foggy. What do you have for homework tonight? Seth, I really don't know. Do you have any tests this week? I can't remember. I know I have something in this one. So you need to get clarity, number one. How do you get clarity? There are a few ways. One, you rely on your mind. That is the worst way to get clarity, but it is an important part of clarity. And sometimes it works. It's just not the most reliable way to get clarity. Two, if you have syllabi or syllabus for different classes, you examine the syllabi to see any big due dates or any big things coming up. Sometimes you'll have that. It's more for college students. Some high school students have it. Not many middle school students have a very good syllabus.
And lots of teachers have websites.
That's the next thing. Three,
okay.
Teacher websites, online portals, Schoology, Infinite Campus, things like that. Now, I know students, this is extraordinarily annoying, frustrating, and complicated to find the information that you need to find on these portals. You have multiple teachers with multiple different sites, and I know it's confusing. So that's one way to get clarity. When it comes to getting clarity online that way, what you want to do, if your parents are willing to help you with this, or you have a teacher or a mentor or a tutor or someone who's willing to help you with this, have them help you get the clarity. And what are you getting with clarity with any of these things? What you're trying to do is we're trying to make a master list of all the things you need to be responsible for. So that next one is you're going to be looking online. The next one is you're going to ask the teachers. There are two ways to ask them, online or in person. If you ask them in person, the problem is that my students will say, yes, Seth, I'll talk to my teacher tomorrow. Next day comes, did you talk to your teacher? No, I forgot. So how do we deal with accountability? I have my students email the teacher, hey, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow during office hours or lunch or after school help or whatever. Could you have a couple minutes so we can chat and I can get clarity? Again, that word I'm going to say over and over. You need clarity, clarity on what I need to do to end the year on a better note.
And I just want to interject that kids can have the best of intentions. It's not like they're meaning to blow the plan off, but life gets in the way, they forget, and they don't know yet. What a lot of us know is do it while you're thinking about it. And if you do it when you're thinking about it and email them, then that sets up the conversation for the next day.
It sets you up for success. Yeah. And people don't want to email the teacher because they don't want to, we just don't want to take the energy to do it. We're resistant. No, I'll remember. Well, you know what? Be honest with yourself. That's another part of this process, is the honesty with ourselves to say, hey, you know what? I'm not great at remembering details, and I'm okay with myself. And I don't care if people shame me in the world. I'm not shaming myself. I'm cool with it. I need to write stuff down. I need to take notes. I need to whatever. But yeah, like you said.
Yeah, here at Bright and Quirky, we call that being a self-scientist. Just know that your brain works that way. Okay, you tried it one way, that didn't work. Let's experiment, try it another way. And like you said, set yourself up for success.
And I like the word scientist because it's objective. There's no shame. There's no I'm bad, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm stupid, or I can't do it, or so we need clarity. We can either go to the teacher in person, or we can email them to tell them we're going to go in person, or we can email them and just say it in the email. Hey, I need clarity. What do I need to do to be successful? Now, some of you students are watching this right now and you're thinking, well, my teachers don't want to hear from me. That usually is not true. So you can let that one go. But some of you are saying, well, I don't like my teacher, or my teacher hates me, or I feel like my teacher doesn't like me. Sometimes that may be true. You may really feel like your teacher doesn't like you. You may really feel like you're not connected to them. And that's a hard case, but you want to advocate anyway and say, hey, dude, hey, teacher, whatever their name is, I want to do well. Please give me some clarity. I need to know what I need to do. So the whole point of what I just said was there are all these different ways. I may have left some out, but basically the point is step one is you have got to get clear on what you have to do to climb that giant mountain of stuff that you need to do to address Pepper, current work, and late work.
Okay, so great. We have step one. Get clear, make a master list. I love it.
Now you've got a master list. Now, similar to what Debbie was saying before with the scientist thing, you have to be honest with yourself that you're not going to do it. If you're more perfectionistic, you're not going to do everything perfectly. You probably won't even do it all. So don't worry about getting A's, because what happens with my students is they want to do it perfectly and they end up not turning anything in at all sometimes. So you don't want to get caught in that trap. Just be like, hey, so step two, I guess, would be the mindset. Having a mindset of, look, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to try to pass everything. I'm going to try to get enough done. I'm going to try to do enough makeup work, enough current work, enough of the projects. And maybe I'll miss a couple things, but I'm just going to do my best and have a mindset of compassion to yourself. Look, just doing my best. Every day I'm going to chip away at it. I'm going to do a little bit. And I talk about the 1% rule, but you just do 1% more. Why? Because when we say we're going to do 100% more, or I'm going to get an A+, or whatever, we set ourselves up for failure. We have to learn to take baby steps. Just, can I do a little bit more today? Can I do one more problem? Can I study for one more minute? Can I do one more thing on the study guide? Can I revise this thing one more time? Can I add one more detailed sentence? Whatever. Can I just it's all about a little bit more. So
yeah,
that's what step two is mindset.
Mindset. Okay. And I imagine once you have your master list, we want to prioritize it. We want to see what's due.
Exactly.
The sooner things first.
Exactly. So now we have this giant list, and it is going to feel overwhelming. You can break it down in a smaller list if you want. It doesn't matter how you do it, but do it somehow. But yes, now we have to really get more clarity on it. So what I recommend my students do with a list of things is first to estimate how long it will take. So let's say that tonight I have a math assignment to do. I have to write a draft, and I have to check my online grades. I have to reorganize my backpack. Let's say I have those 4 things to do. Reorganizing my backpack might be 15 minutes. checking my online grades might be 5 minutes. Doing the math might be 30 minutes, whatever. Now, am I going to be wrong in the estimation? Yes, because we are time blind. We aren't realistic about how long things take, but at least we're getting some idea of how long it's going to take. So on your master list, put a little circle next to each thing and write about how long you think it'll take. Why? Because that gives you a concrete idea of the energy and the time that you're going to need to devote to whatever the thing is. And then you're going to write what order you want to do things in, and you want to be strategic. Like if you can do several small assignments that will take you 5 minutes each, and you can get, let's say, 200 points for that, or you could do an assignment that's going to take you 2 hours and only get 30 points for, prioritize the one that makes more sense to prioritize. Knock out a bunch of those. Anyhow, I asked this question, Debbie, when people are prioritizing, I say, what do you want to do first? The most important, excuse me, the most important first, the shortest first, the longest first, the easiest first, or the hardest first? Because people have different preferences. Now,
good questions, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to honor their preferences. But sometimes I find that I'm pushing a student to do the easiest first because for two reasons. One is it helps get the train rolling, and self-starting, procrastination, motivation, getting started is one of the hardest things for my students, just getting the train going. Once you get the train going, it's a lot easier, just starting. So starting with the easier first, a lot of times is a great strategy. The other good thing about doing the easiest first is that you can cross more things off the list. So I have some students, and I'll push them not to do this. I have some students who will do the hardest first or the longest first or the most important first, and it's like a 2 or 3 hour thing, and then they don't even finish that in a night, and it feels like they've gotten nothing done. So a lot of times I'll push, but anyhow, you can do what you want. The point is, I don't really care what order students you go in. I don't really care. Just choose an order, choose how long you think they'll take, prioritize things, look at what you need to be doing, and just do your best. You don't have to follow the order, but think of the order first. Think it through, but you don't even have to follow it. Now, the next thing that I want to recommend, which is related to the prioritization, the next thing that I want to make, so we have sort of the clarity, then we have the mindset, and now we have prioritizing our stuff, is I ask students on any given day, what is your number one priority today? What is the most important thing you need to get done today? If you got nothing else done tonight, what is the most important thing you need to get done? Now, it may not be the shortest thing, but I do ask my students that every single day, because it's a very good clarifying question to help you figure. It may not be the first thing you do, but it's really important to know what's the most important thing on any given day. So at least if you get nothing else, then you get that.
I love that. And I heard something similar in a seminar that talked about the big three every day. So every day when I sit down at my desk, I write down my big three I want to accomplish. And
Yep.
a big one, I mean, that would be great for the first one to be really clear that that one is absolutely going to get done.
Yeah, I wonder if I have any of these planning sheets around that I use, but yeah, so that's sort of, so now we have sort of the clarity on what we need to do to climb the mountain. We have a good mindset that, hey, I can do this. I'll just do my best. I'm not going to beat myself up. And then we have, now let's prioritize it. Let's figure out what order. Now we have the execution phase. And I think this is a good place for us to wrap up, Debbie, is on this execution phase. So now we have this mountain to climb. How are we going to execute on it? How are we going to do the things we have to do but don't feel like doing? We are resisting doing them. We are procrastinating. We're putting it off. We're not realistic about it. We're lying about it. We're making excuses for it. How do we do the things we don't want to do?
Seth, we're dying to know. We're dying to know.
So what we need, there's a few things we need to do. One is we need to have an area to focus that doesn't have distractions. Turn off the phone. Get realistic with yourself. You can stay off Snapchat for 5 minutes. You will not die. Like, get honest with yourself. Like, put the phone in the other room. Turn it off completely so it's annoying to turn it back on. Set a timer for 40 minutes and don't check your phone at all for 40 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it is. I mean, what you have to do, so the idea for how, the main overarching idea for how to do the stuff you don't want to do is chunking. And I'll get to that in a minute. But like I said, first, we got to have the environment. We have to have a place we have to put the dog outside if the dog is annoying. We have to, if it's in the kitchen and people are cooking, and that's distracting, we probably should move somewhere where there's not distractions, but probably not in the bedroom on a computer with a bunch of tabs open that are distracting. Get real with yourself. So first thing you have to do is have an environment where you can focus. One, on the other side of the focus is remove distractions. So wherever you want to study, you should be optimized for focus, minimize for distractions. Optimize for focus, minimize the distractions. So number one, you want to do that. And number two, for self-starting, you want to chunk. So how do you eat an elephant, Debbie?
One bite at a time.
Okay, and a journey of 1,000 miles begins with?
A single step.
Yeah. So it's the 1% rule. It's baby steps. Do not write an entire essay when you sit down. Write the draft, write the outline, write a paragraph. Like our minds say, oh, I have to do this giant thing. So what's the word for the phase I'm talking about now? Chunking. We can't eat an entire elephant. You eat it one bite at a time, okay? I know that's a gruesome metaphor, but
I like your motion, it's
the thing. Yeah, just a bite. It has to be bite size. So you have to chunk down. So you have, like Debbie was saying, her list of 3. I recommend that students only write 3 to 5 things down a day that they're going to do. Why? It's not realistic to do more than that. So stop overwhelming yourself. Pick your 3 things, and you'll probably get more done thinking you'll do 3 than having a list of 20. So just pick a few things, chunk it down per day, whatever you're going to do that night, and chunk down what you're going to do. And you really want to think through what you need to do. Now, I'm going to talk about some specific strategies with Pepper that I recommend. So when you are writing papers, I recommend that you block out, you chunk, and this may sound counterintuitive to what I just said, but I recommend that you chunk a 3 to 5 hour block when you're going to work on a paper. Why? Because if you think you're going to sit down and work on your paper, your 10-page essay or something like that, and you think you're going to sit down for 30 minutes and get anything done, you're wrong. You're fooling yourself. I'm wrong in thinking that about myself. Debbie's wrong in thinking about that herself. It takes us a half hour to even get started. If you're like me, what's that?
So true.
True. And I tell people that that's part of homework. If you set aside 3 to 5 hours to work on a paper, imagine the first half hour is just you getting the train going. Like it's just you getting your stuff organized, you cleaning your area, you eating a snack, you texting someone to ask them about a detail on it, whatever. It's going to take a while just to get the train going, but you want a large block because what you want to do is immerse yourself in it. Now, is it a stressful block? No, you don't want a stressful large block. If you have 5 hours and you say Sunday night from 4 to 9 is paper night, all I'm going to do is worry about this paper. If you're doing that, then you're going to eat dinner in between it. So during that 5 hours, you'll take 45 minutes or an hour for dinner. You'll get on social media. You'll get distracted several times. You will grab a snack. You will, go do some jumping jacks, or you'll daydream and totally forget what you're doing for 15 minutes and be like, so account for that. Like it's okay, but get a big block for yourself. So that's papers. The next one, PEPR, papers, exams. When you are studying for exams, you don't want a 3 to 5 hour block studying for exams. And you certainly don't want to just wait till the night before and only study. What you want is called oh gosh, sorry everybody. I'm really tired. It's been a long day. But you want repetition. You want to repeat studying. So if you have a test in 2 weeks, I would rather see you study, even though 15 minutes doesn't sound like anything. And what I said before, for 15 minutes getting ready with a study guide or something, or note cards, and I'm not a fan of flashcards the way they're usually done, but that's another story. But with a study guide or something, or a study partner, someone who's testing you, if they tested you 15 minutes a day for 14 days for 2 weeks before the thing, and it was only 15 minutes, you are going to get so much more out of that than if you studied all of that, however much time that was collectively the night before. So it's called spaced repetition. You can Google spaced repetition if you care to, but imagine you want to do 3,000 push-ups in a month, and you wait 30 days and one day you do 3,000 push-ups. You're just going to be so sore. You won't be able to move the next day. You're going to hate push-ups. But if you did 100 a day in those 30 days, you would actually see that your musculature was more toned. They would become very easy. You do them more quickly. You'd be stronger. You'd feel stronger. So that's the same type of concept. You're doing a little bit every day with the studying. Now, the night before, should you still study a lot? Of course. I'm not saying only study 15 minutes the night before the exam. And on some nights, can you study 2 hours and have a study group? Of course. Anyhow, you get the point. I'm just giving you a basic strategy on pepper, because I want you guys to think about these as you approach this this Hail Mary time of the year, this spring fever time of the year. Then you have your projects. Projects are like papers. You want to devote a large 3 to 5 hour block. You want to chill. You can put music on for a lot of projects. When you're writing paper, you often don't want music on, because the type of thinking you need for writing a paper is different than for most projects. But if you're gluing stuff together and, it's more, or you're making a PowerPoint, you're doing the design part, you can have music on and stuff. When you're doing the research part and you really have to think, you're going to want to be able to focus. But you want large blocks for a project. And then for the R, reading assignments. Now, this is something, Debbie, that you and I have both seen a lot, where kids are in elementary school. They're told you need to read 10 minutes a night or 20 minutes a night. And that is not reality. That is not what gets people to fall in love with reading. That is having to jump through a hoop to do a reading checklist or a reading log, like things kids absolutely hate. That's not what we want to do. You actually want to enjoy your reading. So if you have a large reading assignment, like a novel, let's say you have a 300-page novel you're going to have to write a paper on or do a project on, you do not want to read 30 minutes a night. That is not, you want to read groups of chapters. Maybe you read 3 chapters a night, 7 chapters a night. You want to read chapters. Chapters contain entire ideas that go together. You want to end at the end of a chapter, not the middle of a chapter. And you want to be immersed in the book. So when you're reading a book, and you're reading 3 to 5 chapters, let's say, you can get pretty immersed in the story. I see a lot of students who will read like the first chapter and be like, I don't like this book. That's not enough time to really even see if you like it. So we've kind of lost the art of reading, and it's one of the most magical things in the world. So just trust me on this, guys. Try it out. Do an experiment with it, but forget about the Cliff's Notes and forget about the Spark Notes and forget about, actually you can enjoy reading. Like, give it a chance. If you're one of those students who you want to just listen to the audio, look, try it if you're away from that. And I know I have a lot of students who still are deeply in love with reading, but I get a lot who also have lost their love of reading. But large blocks, guys, and you can't do it all in one night. You can't do a night where you're spending 5 hours on a project and reading 3 chapters and spending 3 hours on be realistic. The mountain you have to climb is big. I know. Is it more than you can probably handle? Probably, realistically, yeah. So you just do your best and you just do the things you can, and if you think, oh, I'll do 3 hours and you only get 45 minutes done, you still got 45 minutes done, which is way more than, which is what a lot of resistant kids get stuck in, is this pattern of doing nothing and procrastinating so much that they get nothing done. So yeah. Debbie, that is kind of a flow here where we look at, we got this pattern with spring fever and it can really cause some severe consequences for us. We want to get clarity. We want to have a good mindset. We want to prioritize how we're going to get up the mountain. And then we want to be able to execute and do the things that need to be done and just do our best and keep chipping away. Do 1% more. Do the next day, do a little bit. There's going to be days when you guys aren't going to want to do anything. And you're just like, Mom, Dad, just let me just not do anything today. And depending on your relationship with your parents, hopefully there are some days when they can be like, okay, I can tell you really do need a day off. I'm going to come back in an hour and push you anyhow and see if we can get started, but take some time, take some space. But then get back on the next day and get back to it. We all adults too, Debbie and I both, we have days. I know I have probably 2 to 3 days a month, Debbie, that are like a wash. I get depressed. I don't even have a reason for it. I can't rally. I can't. And yeah. We're human. Do you get those, Debbie?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you get to the point, why am I even trying? So
Mhm.
absolutely. Seth, I knew you were the guy to call. You
Thank you.
know, yeah, if you guys are having trouble with homework, trouble with grades, know that you're not alone. And what Seth's talking about, I mean, he just laid out a really awesome plan. And parents, I would encourage you to watch this with your kids. You know, pull out the laptop after dinner. You know, just watch it for a few minutes, and have a great discussion about what sort of plan you can put together after this, just with a Post-it note and putting everything on it and prioritizing. And it's a really good plan. So you're not alone. And what Seth's talking about are life skills that are going to serve you for a very long time to come. So Seth, can't thank you enough. And real quick, before we wrap up, tell us just a little bit about your course if people
Cool.
want to go deeper.
And can I say one more thing to the
Mhm.
students? Like literally, this world has a lot of problems. And when you get older, you're going to build a career on solving problems. All careers are designed to solve some problem. I am in a problem solving career. Debbie is, your parents are. But I say that to you because we need you. We need kids with outside the box brains. We need kids who think differently and learn differently and process differently. We literally, the world literally needs you to develop your strengths. So, and I say this because I know that you're resistant. I know that you don't feel like doing this stuff. And sometimes you feel like, what's the point of all this school stuff? Why do I have to do this homework? When am I ever going to use that? So the point is that developing a lot of these skills, it's not going to always feel like you're going to need them, but they will develop you. They will help you grow as a human being. They will help you become more determined and more motivated and more so that you will have the skills to really pursue your passions and what matters to you. And even if you don't know what that is now, you are planting seeds for your future. Even if it doesn't feel like it, you are planting seeds. We need you. I need you. The world needs you. And I really say this sincerely. We need you. So thank you, students. Parents, as far as the course, I have a semester-long course. It's called UGYG, Upgrade Your Grades. And although in one way, I don't even believe in grades, on the other hand, it's a necessary evil. But how do we develop what's called the executive function? How do we develop the skills? So I have this quirky, weird, awesome, big course that guides you through all of these steps to help your student and to help you. There's a student section that's about 35 super in-depth lessons where I really break down how I coach students. And then I have about 20 really in-depth parent lessons where I really exhaustively break down all kinds of things so that you can better help your kid be successful in school, but not so that they just get good grades, not so that they just get good test scores, so that they can plant the seeds to have a great present, as good of a quality of life now, and in a great future. It's all about quality of life. It's not about conformity and jumping through hoops and just doing what they're told. And it's about really helping them develop their best selves.
And we'll be sure to put that link to Seth's course under the video, so you can click on it and find it there. And Seth, as always, such a pleasure. And
Great
for
to see you,
anyone who,
Debbie.
yeah, you too. And for anyone who has the All Access Pass from the Bright and Quirky Summits, we've got a talk from Seth in 2019. I believe we did the Sunday Night Overhaul. And in the 2018 Summit, we did a two-part executive function masterclass, which was just so awesome. So Seth, I'm a fan, you're a friend, and I just always love talking with you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, take care.